Hello and welcome to Sports Room. I'm Anirudh Madhavan and with me is veteran journalist Ayaz Memon. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about India's dominance in the ongoing World Cup. They've won 4 out of 4 and whether they can maintain that. So, Ayaz, right off the bat, another easy chase for India against Bangladesh, and they've chased all games. So, it seems pretty easy for them right now. How they look unstoppable. How does a team defeat India right now?
Look, I think there are only two ways that any team can hope to defeat India in this form, the kind of form that they've shown so far. One is that you throttle their top order. You know, the top order has been in magnificent form. Rohit, Gill, Virat, Shreyas Iyer, KL Rahul, and we haven't even seen much of Jadeja and Hardik Pandya. We don't know how much, what's going to happen to his future in the tournament. But these guys haven't even batted the all-rounders. And then the other part is that India just seems to be choking opponents in the middle overs. There's Bumrah who's striking at the start or towards the end in the death overs, and then in the middle overs there's Kuldeep Yadav, there's Jadeja, and then the fast bowlers. One of them comes along, and you look at the number of runs scored by Australia or Bangladesh, or even Afghanistan. Some of the matches that India have played, they just don't seem to be able to shrug off that stranglehold that India kind of gets in the middle overs. They just don't allow runs and they pick up wickets. So unless there is a team where the batsmen show enough enterprise, audacity, and of course the expertise to take on these bowlers in the middle overs, I don't think teams will get big enough totals to worry India or be able to chase down totals that India make.
Yeah, but there is one worry that came out of yesterday's match, which was Hardik Pandya limping off the field after bowling 3 balls. The over was completed by Virat Kohli, which was another event in itself. But coming back to Pandya, Rohit said after the match that it doesn't seem like a serious enough injury, but him not being available for selection that throws off the whole balance of this team, right?
It does. It does, because then you are. I mean, so far India has been in a position where they can play three spinners and three fast bowlers, and with the top order and form, it just gave. It made the team look so formidable. No other team has that kind of depth in all departments. So if you lose an all-rounder like Hardik Pandya, who also bowls in the middle overs, who's a very skillful fast bowler, he's also a strong finisher, brilliant fielder, then it causes a dent. It makes a dent in India's team composition and balance. There's no doubt about it. Which means he has to be replaced either by a specialist spinner like an Ashwin or a specialist fast bowler like a Shami. But you lose an all-rounder. Ashwin, yes, he is an all-rounder, but he's not a fast bowling all-rounder. So somewhere the depth and the balance gets affected.
Yep. Talking of all-rounders, I want to shout out an unsung hero of this World Cup so far, which is KL Rahul behind the stumps. So, wonderful catch yesterday. Did you expect him to be this efficient behind the stumps?
To be honest, I didn't. I thought that this is something that,
Yeah.
He's been kind of, it's been thrust upon him because they wanted to play him as a batsman, and they were not sure of Ishan Kishan, and therefore they kept aside the specialist wicketkeeper and chose somebody who will do a part-time job. But the part-timer is doing the job better than anybody else, or you could have imagined. He's been a revelation behind the sticks. So I think KL Rahul must be credited, and I think somewhere, I suss it out that he had been informed in advance that this is a job that he'll be doing. It's not. We all thought, at least I thought, it was a toss-up till the last minute between him and Ishan Kishan. But I think the team management was quite firm. Whatever they may have done in the lead-up matches, in the tournament they were quite clear that they want Rahul. And if you want Rahul as a batsman, then you have to take him as a wicket-keeper. And which meant that he had to improve his wicket-keeping skills, which he's done superbly.
Yep. Also, he must have been mentored by Rahul Dravid, who's also held that position earlier.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, just as a reminder, in the 2003 World Cup where India reached the final, Rahul Dravid was the wicket-keeper.
So, but coming to the man of the moment of yesterday's match, which was Virat Kohli. So now he has 48 centuries in ODIs. He's a master of the chase. So does this cement his place as arguably the GOAT in ODIs? I mean, you must have seen better players. My generation hasn't seen Viv Richards, but that's the name that keeps popping up from that generation. You have Tendulkar, you have AB de Villiers, but Kohli now does rank with them, right?
I mean, he's a one-day giant. He's a white ball giant. He's actually a giant in every format. We've seen his test record. It's stellar. In ODI records, it's perhaps, you might say it's a little better. In T20, maybe a notch lower than the ODIs. But again, very impressive. The names that you've taken, in my opinion, I still rate Viv Richards the highest. Because, but those who've seen Viv Richards would swear by him. But Tendulkar and you mentioned AB de Villiers, these are fantastic. They've been all-time great players. And don't forget Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli's teammate. He's a giant
Yeah.
in white ball cricket, and the way he's been performing in World Cups is simply outstanding. So Virat Kohli, I think, the turnaround after the 2.5, 3 year barren period that he had, the turnaround has been quite spectacular. And this has all happened in the last 10, 12 months. So in Test cricket, as well as in ODIs, as well as in T20s. So 48 ODI hundreds is not something that, you can sniff at. He just, just a couple behind, one behind Sachin Tendulkar to become the record holder.
Yeah.
It would be extraordinary, albeit in the manner in which
Yeah.
he reached his 48th. There are issues raised, of course, but I'm saying that the record itself is
Yeah, yes.
monumental.
Yeah. So coming to that, this is a controversial question now. So India needed 15 to win. Kohli was on 85, and all of a sudden he hits it to, I think, mid-on, and he just tells Rahul, "No, don't run." So that, and there was a huge cheer in the stadium. But do you think this sort of sends out the wrong signal, because this team has been, and Kohli especially, has been about uh, team before self? And there were, like, in the previous generation, there was allegations that Sachin used to play for centuries. I don't agree with that. I don't. I'm sure you don't too. But this doesn't seem like a Kohli thing to do. Why would he do that?
I mean, it was unusual, uncharacteristic, certainly, of Virat Kohli. I think it's just to do with the fact, two things which I felt. I mean, this is just a rationalization. One is that the victory was very easy; it was there for the asking. So there was not even a remote threat that you might not reach the target. So then, okay, let's see if I can reach my century. The other was, I mean, if it was, imagine this happening in a knockout match, you won't do it. I don't think anybody would do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was unusual, uncharacteristic. I think it was, maybe an attempt to just get to a milestone which makes you feel more comfortable. And maybe his teammates, KL Rahul, as I read in the newspapers and subsequently even heard on TV, that he was one of those guys who because he was in the middle, he encouraged him. He said, you go for the 100, because if it boosts his confidence further, so be it.
Yeah. And speaking of that camaraderie, this looks like a team that is gelling together, having fun. And the other team in the tournament that hasn't lost is New Zealand, which is the match coming up on Sunday. So both teams lost less, won 4 out of 4. So how do you see that clash?
That's going to be a really big match. See, what the thing to reaching the semi-finals now, and India is just within striking distance, so to New Zealand. If if you beat big teams or the major teams, then the path becomes clearer. You clear the path for a place in the semis. If you beat all the weaker teams, the minnow teams, then you still have challenges remaining. Now, if India beat New Zealand or the other way around, I think it's virtually assured. Both Either team is virtually assured of a place in the semis. I still think both teams will make it to the semis because they've done so well so far. So this is just a nudge away, a match away for both teams, and I think this will be a very good contest. And for the simple reason that I think the Kiwis have come really well prepared. Remember, I mean, they've had massive bad luck. They had Kane Williamson not originally fit, comes in and then gets injured again, and he's their mainstay.
Yeah.
But even in his absence, I think they've got enough firepower in the batting and in the bowling. And interestingly, even amongst the spinners, they've got Mitch Santner, who's bowling like a champion. Rachin Ravindra has shown a lot of promise, not just as a batsman, but also as a spinner. Then there's Glenn Phillip, who's been turning his arm over and getting wickets. So, and as always, they field brilliantly. As I mentioned earlier, I think beating there's no clear formula to beating India because India is such a strong team. But clearly, they have to get rid of a few batsmen early on from the top order, which Australia did, but didn't have the sustenance or the strike power to break the Kohli Rahul partnership, and they lost. And because they set a very modest target, 200 to win. The other is that when you are batting, somebody or a couple of batsmen need to show the daring to take the attack to the Indian bowlers. If that doesn't happen, India are making things very claustrophobic for the batting teams. and that just leads them to their doom and defeat, the opposing team.
Yeah, so that promises to be a mouth-watering clash, and it is one team that India haven't had luck against in World Cups or any other ICC tournaments for the past several years. So this time it seems like India have the upper hand, but let's see what happens. So that's it for this episode of Sports Room. See you next time.
Thank you. Bye bye.